Well, good morning. I'll start by saying Happy Easter, and the title of uh, of today's talk is My Unusual Easter Message. When I was thinking about my Easter message yesterday, I did not know that things would happen to shift my thoughts. Today, however, the night before Easter, I have been reflecting on past and current events in my life. I have to admit that I can no longer take things I once believed were absolutes as fact. I am more skeptical than ever. I have to question everything, examining the very foundational principles in my life. Does God really play an active role in human events? I have serious doubts. Perhaps many of the religious and spiritual truisms can no longer be taken as fact. I know many will not understand. Others will think I'm finally coming around to a more logical approach. For me, it challenges the very foundation of my life for 70 years. It's not a happy place to be, but I am still committed to telling my truth as I experience it. One thing I want to experience, wait a minute, one thing I won't be is a hypocrite, saying one thing for convenience or because it's what people expect. I really want to experience heaven on earth, and if that can never happen, I seriously want to be erased from this damned game of life where only the most corrupt can have the illusion of a life that makes sense. Yeah, as you can see from that blurb, I went through a little bit of a dark place yesterday. I was supposed to help uh, my daughter early in the morning, but then things occurred that changed everything in my day and put me on a path of going into the doldrums, actually, uh, because of some of the things that occurred. And it just triggered. It was just a trigger event for me to to understand what was going on and realizing that I'm not alone. All of us are facing extreme challenges at a time when, to me, we should be coming home. We should be waking up. We should be finally getting it that life does have meaning. But if they keep letting the cabal run roughshod over people's rights, there is no meaning. My son says oftentimes, there has to be a balance, Dad. There has to be a balance. And he looks at the world and somehow he sees a balance. I look at the world and I see tremendous imbalance. I see where lies dominate truth. I see where uh, hatred and selfishness dominate love. And I don't see a world that's balanced in any way, shape, or form. I see a world that's totally out of balance. And it's been out of balance for as far back as I can look in history. And it doesn't make sense to me that a loving God would not do something. Is there no loving God? Now, granted, I will say this, that there are a lot of things that seem to be happening that show that people are waking up. This is a good thing. This is a good thing. There are movements like the Ubuntu movement and other things that people are taking in various regions of the world that are positive in effect. But there still isn't something that is worldwide or universally being experienced by humanity, because the same con artists that have raped the world and raped the humanity for a long, long time continue the rape, continue the insane game of take, 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 and overrule people's free will. There is no free will when you're forced. Now, I had somebody said yesterday in one of my a comment on one of my videos about we have free will. I gave up the idea that I had free will when I get my door knocked on going on midnight. This is a while back. And I go to my door, and there's a sheriff deputy there. And he starts talking to me about the Mary Horgan Center for Spiritual Development, which is the sign on my front door, and asking me all about Mary Horgan and all about what I did there at the Mary Horgan Center. And I explained it to him, what it was all about. And then he started saying things that made me start being apprehensive. And I started to close the door, and he reached in and grabbed my arm and ended up tackling me on my own floor, and then having a whole bunch of other police cars descend on my property, and he took me off to jail. I had no free will. I had no free will. I was behaving in an honest manner, and my free will was taken from me. Since that happened, I don't believe that we have free will. We don't have free will if somebody can force us to do something against our will, can take us against our will. That's not free will. If I had broken some law, I could understand it. But he broke the law. He had no warrant for my arrest. Now, they released me that same night after questioning and fingerprinting and a whole bunch of other stuff. And on a promise that I would appear in their court system. Now, I don't like to appear in their court system. I knew then that their court system was corrupt. I know it even more now. It's total corruption. It's not based on truth or on facts. It's based on whatever they want it to be. And they can make up the law as they go along, and they do. This is not a world that I want to be part of. It's not a world that I want to live in. And if that can't change, then I'm in the wrong place. I'd like there to be a resurrection of the human spirit, a real celebration of Christ within us being resurrected and coming to life within us, so that the divine can be meaningful, and it can bring us to a place that we can finally experience peace on earth, that we can finally experience truth and justice. We can finally experience liberation. That doesn't mean that we're going to be controlled. It doesn't mean that we can't make mistakes. It simply means that we are finally have a balanced thing where good and evil are balanced, where there's the potential for evil, but if you overrun someone's free will, that potential gets shut down because you're violating the most basic of all human law, or of all law, divine law. Don't do to others what you don't want them to do to you. And if you violate that, you have there's a right for that to be stopped, and it needs to be stopped. Look what's happened to our world, however. Look what's happened when those that don't honor that truth, that don't honor our rights, are able to not only exist, but to rise to a place of dominance. Give me a break, folks. I hope you consider what I'm saying, because it's important that we wake up. And I'm hoping that this Easter we have a greater awakening than we've ever had before. Not just today, but from here on out, that we continue to grow in knowledge and set things aright. Thank you for listening, and namaste.